Hey guys, welcome. My name is MagdalineJanet and welcome to my channel. You guys, oh my god, I am so excited because I think this is my first Colourpop palette of the year, and of course I had to try on the Stone Cold Fox palette that looks like this. It's their 30 pan palette, and as you guys know, anytime I get a new palette to review for you guys, I always do multiple looks using it so you guys can check out the versatility and to see if you really want to get this palette. So if you're interested in seeing how it all goes down, doing multiple looks using one palette, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post videos like this all the time. I have a huge playlist of multiple looks using one palette up here, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, we're going to start with priming the lid with this P. Louise primer base. We're going to blend it out, then start off with the shade Bold Type, and we're going to hit it all over the crease. Don't mind, you guys know I am very heavy-handed, so we're just tapping it in to get the most pigment out of there. And just really concentrating on the crease and following the shape of our eye. With this clean brush, we're going to start tapping the edges so we can have softer edges and they not look so sharp. Using the shade Cult Classic, we're going to hit it right on the crease with this smaller brush so we can really intensify the crease and give it a lot of dimension. Back in with the first brush so we can blend out those edges. Back in with our P. Louise base to cut the crease a little bit. And just with this brush, we're just spreading the little bit of product. We don't want the base too wet. And then with my finger, I always just warm it up. Going in with the shade You Rock and hit it all over that wet base. You guys, look how beautiful this gray is. Like, it's a very light gray. And then with this artist brush, we're gonna hit the crease with the shade Cult Classic to define it and then blend out with the same smaller brush we were using. Using the black shade, which is called Rock Bottom, we're tapping it at the edge to really give the dimension that dark look. And then back in with our first brush, we're just tapping all the edges. Back in with our gray shade and then our black shade just to retrace our steps and make sure everything's blended. And back in with a smaller brush, get that crease. And full face and everything, using this Maybelline eye pencil, we're gonna hit the waterline. Back in with Cult Classic, just hit it and blend it all over the lower lash line. Kind of messily, nothing too neat, you know? And then we're going to use Rock Bottom, the black shade, and this flat eyeliner brush to get it really close to the waterline. And guys, this is look number one. Super bold, beautiful look. This gray right here had me very surprised because it looks so beautiful. It's super light, but it gives you that hint of grayness and like the lightness. You know what I mean? I don't know if it makes sense, but I loved it. So beautiful. And yeah, guys, I rocked this look all day long, especially watching the Dodgers play and they won, guys. Okay, let's focus. Let's move on to look number two. We're gonna start off with Maybelline Master Conceal to prime the lids. Blend it out with a brush and a finger. Going in with the shade Trip. We're gonna hit it all over the lid to set our base. Going in with the shade Ghost Town, we're gonna start hitting it right on the crease, really building that crease up as dark as you want it. And doing tapping motions I find helps the most. Then we're getting this clean blue brush. We're just hitting the edges so they're not too sharp and they look nicely blended. Going in with the shade Obsidian, we're gonna hit it right on the crease with this smaller brush. Again, building that crease up very dark. I'm tapping and then kind of moving the brush around a little. Going back in with our first brush to blend those edges out. Using the shade Genius Sky, we're gonna hit it with the finger because I just love how shimmers look with the finger, and hit it all over the lid. And that shade's so beautiful. And then with this brush, we're just getting the little areas that my finger could not get. Back in with Obsidian to really build that crease and blend the shimmer shade. We're gonna go in with this Maybelline Hyper Easy eyeliner. Guys, by far the best eyeliner you will get. And it's $7 at the drugstore. We're just gonna create a nice little thin wing liner. full face and everything, we're gonna hit the waterline with this Pixie Beauty eyeliner. It's a cool tone brown shade, perfect for a palette like this. We're gonna go back in with Obsidian and this very small liner brush and place it close to the lower lash line, and then blend it out with our first shade, just tapping back into the shade slightly. And guys, this is look number 2. I actually really like this look also. It was super easy to do. This wing liner came out beautifully. I like to do thin wing liners because you guys know I don't wear lashes. And if you're new here, I am allergic to lash glue. So I am trying to get on the magnetic lashes, but honestly, I just haven't gotten it. But this, guys, it was super pretty purple, kind of like a purple gray, cool tone look. Really liked how this looked. So let's move on to look numero 3. Alright guys, we're going to start with the shade Rumor Mill and this artist brush from Michaels. It's a matte gray shade, and we're going to outline literally where our crease is and just follow the shape of our eye. My left eye tends to be the easy eye because on my right eye I have a scar, so that's why I always work with my left. We're just really outlining the shape of our eye and where our crease is. You want to make sure you get it right where the crease is and kind of build it from there. And then with some concealer, very little amount, we're just gonna clean the areas and get the inside kind of sharp like I'm doing, you see? Towards the outer, you're gonna sharpen it up with this concealer, but you don't wanna use too much. Tapping into the shade Luxe, we're just gonna hit it right in that negative space we have that we created. Just tapping in that shade. The shade was a lot wider on my skin tone than I anticipated, but I kind of liked how it looked after. We're gonna go in with our black shade and a small lip brush, and we're gonna again outline our crease like we did with the gray shade. And we're now just creating a gradient. And then we're gonna start outlining the lower lash line with the same exact brush, so everything kind of meshes together. Then creating a very thin eyeshadow wing, because I wanted to do a graphic liner and I didn't know I wanted to do that until I was at this point, so that's where I'm kind of all over the place. Then going in with this LA Girl Bright liner in the waterline to give it that bright look. Back in with our black shade, and then I'm like, we need something else, so we have to pull out the Maybelline eyeliner again and really outline everything so it looks nice and sharp and dark. Alright guys, and this is the look. I will say that I was definitely inspired by Ariana Grande's Positions video. Her makeup looks there were so beautiful and they were like 60s inspired, and I looked at this palette, I'm like, we're gonna do something like that just to pull that beautiful era out. And I actually really like how this looked. It turned out so pretty. And of course, just using this palette, we created this beautiful look. Honestly, I'm not the best at graphic liners. I've been practicing with them and I'm getting better and better. So I hope you guys like this one and you learned from it. And let's move on to look numero 4. All right, we're gonna start off with the shade Trip. We're gonna hit it all over the lid, and I realized this was the really light shade, but we rolled with it. Going in with the shade Gray Days, we're gonna hit it with a smaller fluffy brush right on the crease, concentrate it, and also wing it out. Again, we're following the crease, the shape of our crease, and then this is a clean brush. We're just blending out all the edges. Going in with the shade Fickle Fate, we are building it up on the crease and making that crease a lot more defined and darker so we can see that little winged out effect. And I'm doing tappy motions to get the most pigment and then just kind of swooping it out. Going in with the shade Hard Place, we're hitting it in the inner 2/3 of the eye and just building it up. And then I'm like, let's see how it looks with the brush wet, and it gave me the same effect. Nothing more, nothing less. We're gonna go in with the shade Sediment to Be, just flipping the brush over and hitting it at the outer eye and winging that out as well, following the shape we have. Going back in to reinforce all our steps with our first brush, and then our clean brush, just blending those harsh edges out. Then I felt like something was missing, so we went back in with the brown shade, the dark brown shade, and we're just gonna connect it to the outer eye. Not really do a wing, just kind of close it in. And then cleaning it with this makeup wipe, we're gonna go back in with Drama Mama. This was the shade that was gonna really bring and complete the shape. We're going back in with our LA Girl Bright Liner and hitting it on the waterline. And then back with our first brush we used just to get those edges. Going in with Drama Mama, we're gonna hit it at the outer lower lash line, connecting our little wing we have going, but not bring it all the way, just kind of stop it halfway. All right, guys, this is look number 4. I honestly had no idea where this look was going, but I kind of was feeling it. You know, I was just letting the hands do its thing, and I really like how blended and effortless it looks. It's not too neat. It's kind of a messy look, and you know, I'm all for it. And yeah, guys, this is look numero 4. Let's move on to the last and final look. Using the shade Ghost Town and Gray Days, we're mixing those shades together and tapping it all over the lid to set our wet base. We're gonna go in with Trip once again and hit it in the inner corner and bring it all the way, kind of like halfway to the lid. Using the shade Fickled Fate, we're hitting it at the end of the eye, really building that up, and then moving it over to the crease to blend all that out. Well, those two out. Going in with the shade Play It Cool, I felt like the look was missing something, so we're hitting this right in the middle and just tapping it on top of what we already had there. And then with our finger, because I just wasn't getting the oomph I needed, back in with Trip and using the shade Play It Cool and just pretty much redoing our steps. And I'm getting our first brush and just blending out all the edges out. Going in with the shade Obsidian, we're just gonna outline the eye so we have a little bit more dimension. This usually helps when you don't wear lashes. It kind of gives your lashes a little bit more oomph. And using the shade I Dig It, we're gonna hit the inner corner, and it just worked so pretty. Back in with our Pixie Cool Tone Brown on the waterline. And back in with Play It Cool, now with this flat brush to really get the lower lash line and get it close and tight. And then using the shade Fickled Fate and also Drama Mama to blend out that lower lash line. All right, guys, this is look number 5. I really like the gradient from light to dark and like the purples and the pinks. Super easy look to do. This is look number 5. Thank you for still being here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I do have an outro. I do have my first impressions and my thoughts on this palette, whether it's worth to get it or not. So stay tuned for the outro and I'll see you there. Hey guys, so this is it. This is the 5th and final look using the Colourpop Stone Cold palette that once again looks like this. I wanted to mention something to you guys is I wanted to compare the Bare Necessities palette with this one just so you guys can see the true differences in both. So this is the Bare Necessities. This is the Stone Cold. So they do look very different. The Bare Necessities is literally very warm tones, your everyday neutral natural looks, versus the one we use today. It's very cool tone shades. I don't know what has happened. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I haven't bought Colourpop, I believe, this year. But for the most part, I feel like Colourpop's formula is very standard, very consistent. I love the cool tone tones. I'm not a big cool tone person, but for some reason, I found it very difficult to work with the mattes, especially the dark ones. It was very hard for them to really build on top of each other. For example, if I wanted to build this one and this one, or a brown, then follow it with a black, they just were getting very patchy, kind of like this eye right here. I found that that happens a lot, and I usually build, it creates a nice gradient, but for some reason this one just didn't work out. I had a lot of kickback. Look how dirty the palette is. I don't really mind that as long as we have pigment. These shades did have pigment. I felt like they just blended away quickly. So this palette was pretty difficult to work with. Like each and every look was very difficult to create because I always had to go back and forth to create these looks. I personally like Colourpop. I haven't purchased Colourpop a lot this year just because I feel like I haven't felt inspired. But when I saw this palette, I was like, why not? Let's try a cool tone palette. But I don't know, I'm not convinced about the palette. I don't know, it's just like this look is super patchy, and I was gonna create a whole nother look, but I'm like, you know what, let me show you guys how it really goes down when I create these looks. Because a lot of times, for the most part, if it's a good palette, looks come out well, but there's times where I just have to scrub an entire look and create another one. But today I liked the concept of it, but you see the patchiness here, and it's because I was building these shades together. No, which ones were they? I already forgot. I think it was this shade and this shade, and they just weren't working. So yeah, guys, I don't think I would buy this palette again if I had the choice. I don't recommend it, to tell you the truth, and I hate to say that because I really like Colourpop, but it just didn't give me the wow factor that I needed. I think if this palette was smaller, I probably would like it a little bit more, but I feel like a lot of these shades, although they look different on the pan, on my skin tone, they look very similar. So I'm like, okay, why? I felt like, why these looks kind of looking the same and kind of having the same undertone, you know? But again, it just probably didn't work with my skin tone. Again, I'm a warm tone type of girl. Actually, before I go, I will say, you guys, this gray right here, wait, was it this one? Yeah, you rock. This gray right here was freaking amazing. It was the shade I used on the first look. Oh my God, I was shook on how beautiful that gray came out on the skin. Like I said, this would be a good smaller palette. We don't need all these. This is just too much, but there's like certain shades that I really liked, and these grays were bomb, but I mean, they should be because that's the star of the palette, you know? But I think this is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I love you. You are a real one. Let me know which look was your favorite look. I actually really liked how look number 1 through 4. This one, I like the concept, like I told you guys, but it's a little patchy right here, so, you know. But I think this is it, guys. Thank you guys again. I love you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.